Hi guys, Tati Zemer here with my 2007 WRX Wagon. A few years ago, Flatout Suspension sponsored me a set of two-way coilovers, and they are way overdue for a rebuild, so today we're going to remove them and box them up to ship out. So these are my two-way Flatout Suspension coilovers. They have the external reservoir, and at the top we have the adjustable camber plates. So as you can see, they have seen better days and need to be cleaned up before they get shipped out, but they're way overdue for a rebuild, so we're going to remove these and send them out. And here's just a quick look at the rear coilover. It's got the same adjustable camber plates up top and the external reservoir. Alright guys, these are all the tools needed to remove my two-way coilovers. So you're going to need two 19s to remove the camber bolt and lower strut bolt. And then you're going to need a 13 to remove the 3 top hat nuts. And then I have a 12 for my brake line bracket. Alright, so it's always a good idea to support what you're about to drop. So I have the jack right under the steering knuckle because we're going to start by loosening, not fully removing, the 3 top hat nuts. So without further ado, let's get into it. So like I said, my coilovers are desperately due for a cleaning and rebuild, but next we're going to remove this little brake bracket, and it's for my SS brake lines. And then this will just slide right out, and you're free to go. So on this side is my ABS line, and it should have another bolt, but I just have zip ties, so we're just going to cut that to start. And then that bracket comes right off. So remember, I have the jack supporting the steering knuckle from the bottom, so then we're going to loosen our camber bolt. It's going to be two 19s. You're just going to support on the right side and remove with the left. Hell yeah for power tools. And I'm going to leave that seated while I loosen the bottom one. That I might need an extension for. Nope. Okay. Alright, so sometimes these take some finagling to get out. As you can see, I can't just push it out. Keep in mind that when you pull both the camber bolt and the lower strut bolt out, your steering knuckle is going to fall forward. That's okay for now. But to get this off, we can place a wrench and kind of wiggle it about to try and get some leverage and loosen that up and pull that out. Oh boy. And remember, your camber nut is going to look different than your lower strut bolt. Or sorry, your bolt. This is a bolt, not a nut. And then your bottom one, same thing. This one's a little looser, so I'm able to just pull it right out. And then keep in mind your steering knuckle is about to tip forward. I think mine's going to take a bit of a yank, so I might let it sit here for a second and readjust my jack to catch it. Alright, so since my steering knuckle didn't naturally fall forward, we're going to actually go back up to the top, and we're going to fully remove these top hat nuts and little washers. And then we're going to try and drop the coilover and steering knuckle forward as one full unit. Ta-da! Alright, so it started to drop down when I removed the top hat nuts. So it's going to come down as a unit, and I remember these being pretty heavy, so we're going to see if I can handle grabbing the coilover while pulling the steering knuckle. Oh, there it goes. I'm going to do my best to just support the coilover, get the steering knuckle out without breaking my axle boot, because that is a concern. There we go. My ABS, oh, it's heavy. My little ABS wire. Struggle bus. Okay, so my external reservoir needs to come off because my ABS is in between it. So we're going to pause real quick and reevaluate. So it's been so long since I've installed these, I forgot that when I did install them, the external reservoir was technically hanging down so that we could set it up where we wanted it for fitment. So I'm hanging onto this. It's balanced on the top of the steering knuckle, and we're just going to remove the bracket that's holding those. And these are an Allen 5 T-handle. Whoops. And there's one more. And then that reservoir might fall when I get this bracket done, but that's all right. Totally okay. Part of the plan. Now we got that free, and now I can move this. Oh shit. I'm gonna move that around, free up the ABS. What is that caught on? That's all right too. Very carefully not to ruin your ABS. Didn't quite go as planned, but hashtag flexibility. All right, so it's the exact same process for the rear. My car is gutted, partially gutted, so I get to climb in the back real easily right here. And we're gonna just loosen, not fully remove, the 3 top hat nuts again. Oh, I grabbed the 12, not the 13. Hang tight. We're back. Always a good idea to make sure you have the right tools before you get started. Try that again. And remember, we're just going to loosen, not fully remove. Twist them back on a little bit. And I do have, as you can see, a rear strut bar as well in my pretend race car. So just like the front, there is a zip tie holding my SS brake line on, and then I want to double check that my ABS line is not going to screw me on this side, and it looks like I'm good to go, and it is on the outside of my external reservoir. All right, so I had to switch up the tools for the rear a little bit. I had to get a little wobble extension, and there's not as much room here, so we're going to zap this top one. And then for the bottom, because my axle boot is in the way, I'm going to actually have to come from the other side. So I'm going to swap this, make it a little shorter, and the wrench is going to go on the nut side. Get that in there. I'm going to poke my head in and get my eyes on I'm going to do my best to keep some pressure on that because I don't really like how that's seated. It doesn't feel super secure. All right, that nut is off, but my axle boot is in the way. All right, so that was a total noob move and had to regroup here, but you obviously want to remove your tool before you keep backing that off because my nut and tool got stuck on the axle. So now I've got my nut, and now we're going to do the same that we did on the front, and we're going to basically kind of wiggle this to try and get it to come out a little. All right, so I could not, like the front, wiggle those free, so I decided that I'm actually going to climb in here and try to get some of the bracing undone. So there's 2 14s here. We're just going to remove this middle portion, and then we're also going to remove these top hat nuts. But we're going to start, make sure that's the right way. And we're always going to break the nut side free. I'll hold that side. And then you can finish it by hand, super easy. I have to do this quite often because anytime I need to put something in my trunk, this has to come out. So I do keep 2 14 wrenches in my glove box. And then I just keep this all together. And remember, the washer always goes on the nut side. Same thing on this side. We're gonna, oop. little muscle into it. And then I'm going to turn around and remove those 3 top hat nuts. And I'll turn around. We're going to pop these off in the little washer. Careful not to lose them, anything in this top hat area. And then removing that extra strut bracing should help free up the coilover, and then we should be able to drop it down from the bottom now. Got him. Right, so this turned out to be a little bit tougher to get out. We did have to use some Motul Easy Lube for penetration, and then the bottom I had to use this 14 wrench because of this. As you can see, my axle boot's kind of in the way and limiting what you can do on this side, so I kind of wiggled a 14 wrench in there to put some slight pressure to get that out. And now for this one, remember, it's loose on the top, so your steering knuckle is going to fall forward, so I'm going to put a little pressure to get that off and try to pull this out. There's some lube on it that's making it hard to grip. But it's coming. Oh, it's coming. So I'm going to reposition because this is about to fall on me. Okay, there it goes. So as you can see, the strut just wanted to fall down. So I'm going to gently support, try to pull this forward. Oh, there went the strut. And I'm going to try not to fuck up the does not want to budge. Okay. Ugh. Okay, so you're going to do the exact same thing on the passenger side. Remove the front and the rear, and then it's an absolute insult to send out any sort of part back to your mechanic looking this dirty. So we're going to do a very good cleaning job, and then they're going to get boxed up and shipped out for a rebuild. And then you're going to come back for part 2 when I reinstall the new rebuilt Flatout Suspension 2-way coilovers. And I have another surprise. So make sure you come back for part 2 in a few weeks.